And what is good, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to Milwaukee Entertainment News. I'm your host, DJ Bro. I'm sitting here with Paul Karcz of Imperial Fall. What is going on, dude?
What's up, dude? How are you?
Man, I'm trying to stay away from that thick ass tornado outside, I guess. I didn't know if it was just really hard rain or hail or what, but there was something flying at me. I didn't know what.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, that sounds brutal, man. Where are you at, dude?
I live in Hartford, and I
Okay.
was coming from a little bit southwest, and that storm is just moving over, and it's like, oh no. I didn't,
Oh,
I didn't know. My chick is just
yeah.
messaging me talking about some. Oh my god, there's a tornado that touched, and I'm like, really? And all of a sudden, rain's coming sideways. I'm like, oh no.
That's fucked up, man. I never. Yeah, we're all right over here, dude.
Loki. All right. So so how long has Imperial Fall been around?
The band has been together since 2012, and I joined the band in 2014. They had a singer before me, so yeah, I joined in 2014.
Cool. Um,
Yeah.
when did you start singing?
Let's see. When did I start singing? Man, I don't know. I used to have a band back in the day called Spiral Trance,
I remember
and
that.
yeah, yeah, I was a singer in that band. I didn't want to be the singer. We didn't we didn't have a singer, so I don't know. I just we rehearsed at my parents' house, and it was we were trying to write songs, and then we wrote like one or two songs, and um, we're like, well, who's gonna sing them? And I'm not gonna sing them. You're gonna sing them. I'm not gonna sing them. And I remember somebody saying, well, it's like we're at your parents' house, man, and you should probably sing. Like, what the fuck does that what does that mean?
What does that even mean?
I don't know. But then we played at a basement party, and we had like four songs, and I, I I sang those four songs. I played guitar and sang on those four songs. And then there was a friend of ours there that owned a bar at the time, and she said, "You should come play my bar." And we were like, "Yeah, that'd be awesome." First gig, excited, and so it was probably like a month or so away. And I told the guys, I'm like, "Well, we got to hurry up and find a singer now." And like, huh?
I thought that was you. It's your parents'
Yeah,
house. The bar's
yeah.
not my parents' house.
They said we don't have any time, dude. Never gonna find somebody. You have to sing these songs. We're gonna play this show, and um, so I did, and it just kind of went from there, and it was nonstop. And I just sort of became the singer guy.
Like,
Yeah, it was unplanned, you know. But it wasn't until like a lot later, you know. I think we recorded some things, and then we went to like our very first ever like professional recording studio, and um, I just wasn't. I could sing the heavy shit, but I couldn't sing like the mellow stuff, and I know it was driving everyone crazy. And at the time there was no computer stuff. It was all tape, 2-inch tape. So it was like over and over and over again. We kept doing it, and I remember finally getting it done, and the producer telling me, I think you have a good voice, man. I think if you took some lessons and stuff, you could probably be pretty decent. And leaving there with my tail between my legs, I went and I found a voice teacher, and I started taking vocal lessons. and I was like the only rock guy there, because all the people that this woman had, they were like all opera singers, and they'd be singing all this crazy high shit, and um, then I'd come in and I'd have to sing like show tunes because we didn't know we didn't know what to work on really, So I sang show tunes, Oklahoma, and I don't know, all kinds of shit. But that was like that's what we worked on, and that's how I kind of like learned how to sing better, you know. And just a lot of work, And finally, we it's just started to feel better, and there was a point where I didn't feel like the singer anymore. I felt like the vocalist.
It's like I've graduated up a level. There's levels to this shit, like a cake.
Exactly. Exactly.
1 second, I gotta go close this window. I forgot about. I'm just gonna fan it in there.
So what do you are you have a house?
I got a. I have a 2 bedroom apartment above an old bar. It's weird because this is the master bedroom, which behind this banner is like all my stage stuff.
Okay. Gotcha. That's cool, man. Oh, nice, dude. Yeah.
So,
That's pretty sweet.
but it doesn't have a window in here, so it's like I'm not using this as a bedroom, I guess.
Oh,
Makes
okay.
for a
So
great
just kind of
studio, and the walk-in closet acts as a good doomsday prepper type area. All my boxes of food and shit are in there, or
right
so
when you're ready to rock and roll, dude, you're gonna be all set to go.
I already do. I set up stages for like clubs and small little festivals, like the Allenton Picnic I set up for, and stuff like that.
Nice.
A lot of rap shows, a lot of DJ shows, but mainly work between for bands has been with Indecision and my dad's new band Ruin Unleashed with Brian Boley and them. So
Oh, wow.
that was, but yeah, I've been playing with the stuff for a while. I've always liked playing with the stuff, but I've moved around the country a lot. So the last like 6 years I've been back, 6, 7 years I've been back. So I've been like able to put down roots. In the last 4 years I've really been active in the scene and starting to grow around. And I want to be everywhere, not just in one spot with one particular circle. I want to be everywhere and bring everyone together.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's cool, man. You're like really motivated, and um, you care about the music scene, which is important. I mean, you've always got your musicians, but there's got to be other people in the background too, that are helping make it happen,
Yeah.
and you're one of those guys, that's cool. I really appreciate you having me on here, man, and helping promote the band and other bands and the scene and everything, man.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
No, man. Thank you for, coming on. Um,
Yeah, man.
uh, Speaking of, what is your favorite part of the scene?
My favorite part,
Yep.
when they turn the sound and lights off. I'm kidding.
Wow. When the light's over and I can go home.
No, my favorite part of the scene, man, is like just going to see a show and supporting friends that are playing, and not even friends, just bands in general, And I get a little sentimental sometimes. Sometimes when I'm standing there in front of the stage watching bands play, it kind of takes me back and reminds me of like when I was first starting to play, and some of the first stages that I was on, and so I don't know. It's just that's probably my favorite part, going to a show and watching my friends play and just kind of being in the moment, you know.
So that gig at your friend's bar was the first gig that you ever played?
Yeah, like that was in 1995. Yeah, it was the very first show. I think, we had we had four songs, and they had somebody open for us, and it was like, how long are we supposed to play for? And we had to fill the time, like with a bunch of cover songs and stuff that was like popular on the radio and shit, at the time. And kind of at the time there were bands out there like Days of the New and Silverchair, um, the Toadies, man, Live, the band Live. It was during like that time. So, we were kind of covering songs that were kind of popular, at the time. But at the same time, we were like learning our instruments. So
Right.
not only was it like our first times on stage, together, but we were just learning our instruments and how to even perform, you know.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that you originally didn't want to be the singer. Were you just wanted to be lead or rhythm or?
Yeah, I just wanted to play guitar, man. So maybe do a few leads here and there, and mostly play rhythm. I had a band like years before that, right after I graduated high school, and it was with some friends from high school, and we played like punk covers, and eventually kind of like got a little more heavy, and started to write some of our own songs. But I was just playing guitar and like doing some solos and things like that, and I was totally fine with that. There was somebody else singing, and I was like, okay, you do that, and I'll just be over here and do this.
Right.
Yeah, so I was fine with that. So when my band Spiral Trance got together, I thought I was going to kind of carry over and kind of do the same thing, but never worked out that way.
Well, I remember Spiral Trends. You guys actually like sent out one of your albums to like get like professionally mixed and mastered, and it came out as CDs all wrapped in plastic, all official and shit. Like,
Yeah.
like that was really cool. It's like I remember stuffing the cassettes and CDs with the handmade stuff from Kinko's with my dad and shit. And then
Oh,
when I got hit with a Spiral Trans CD, it was all like, no man, they're local. I'm all like, what? Whoa!
yeah. Yeah, dude, that was a big deal, man. That was a big deal at the time. Getting a CD made, was it cost a lot of money, and getting just like a CD master made, so you could like maybe you know burn disc or give it to somebody to burn discs. I mean, a CD master was like $70, but it came on like this gold disc, and it was like all high resolution sound, But yeah, getting that first CD and having it in our hands, and looking at it and just, realizing like, wow, we're actually like doing this,
How
And
how
so
crazy is it? Because I see you even have what is that Studio One on your computer.
on the back
Did,
here, it's Cubase.
okay.
Yeah.
How amazed are you now about how much stuff when you would walk into those studios and you'd see all that equipment? How amazed are you that all of that stuff is now condensed onto a computer, or are you like some and think it's just not the same?
Um, yeah, that's a good question because, like I said, when we first started, we were recording on 2-inch tape. Well, like when we were doing like our first professional stuff. Prior to that, we were doing like cassette 4-track stuff, And I mean that was a big deal when we first did a 4-track. It was like, holy shit, man, we hit the big time,
I
dude.
still got a 4 track.
Yeah, 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 totally. Um, I, you know, we recorded a couple times at Smart Studios up in Madison, and that's Butch Vig's studio, who produced Nirvana and a million other bands, and he's the drummer for Garbage. And walking in there, it was like, wow, this is really, really cool. And I actually remember talking to the producer at the time and talking about all the gear, like I was the one guy that was always in the control room. Like the other, when the mixing process happened, and the other guys were out in the lounge, drinking or playing video games or whatever they were doing. But I was always a dude in there, asking questions. I wanted to know, like, oh, what does this button do? Or what happens if I press this? Don't press that. Yeah. But I was really amazed by that stuff, and I remember talking to him, and he gave me like one of the best pieces of advice. Because there was a school in Florida, it's called Full Sail Music, and they taught you how to produce and taught you how to record music and the whole 9 yards. And but it was fucking expensive. It was like, I don't know, like for a year, it was like $40,000 or some shit. It was ridiculous. And I remember asking him, what, because I really like this whole recording thing, and I'd love to get into it. And he said, yeah, dude, I can tell you got kind of a good ear, man. Like you're in here, you're listening, you're asking like legitimate, real questions about stuff. He said, but times are changing, and why don't you take $40,000 and invest in your own studio and then teach yourself? And, it just kind of occurred to me. I was like, yeah, there's people I know that could show me things, and not spending 40 grand on something. It's a little bit more appealing to me. And I think after that sometime, I spent about $10,000 investing in my own equipment, making payments. It's not like I had 10 grand laying around.
Right.
I was poor, dude. Broke. But I took that money and I invested in that recording stuff, and it was just kind of like he said, you can teach yourself, and people that can help you through the process. And that's what I did over time, and now I have this studio, and I have a whole nother studio downstairs. And so I think about that sometimes, when I'm walking through my house, there's all this gear laying around. There's 2 full recording studios in my house. Like downstairs, I can record a full band down there, and I have a control room with glass in it and the whole 9 yards, and up here is more like a composing studio. I've done some recording and producing for like film and TV.
Oh.
So I've done 2 full-length feature films. I've done a few documentaries. I've done a few commercials. I did, and I'm always, trying to broaden that client list, But I guess what I was saying before is that sometimes when I walk through my house, I see all this gear. I'm like, where the fuck did all this shit come from? I mean, why? How did this happen? And every time I think about that, I think about that dude. I mean, every time I ask myself about this gear, what's going on, I think about that dude and that advice that he gave me, because it was priceless, man. I mean, it changed everything for me.
But you saved a lot of
So,
money on studio time since then too, huh?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you were talking before about getting a CD, a spiral trance CD, and it was wrapped and everything like that, and that, of course, that was huge. But once I started producing my own band and everything else. I mean, it was like we did all the artwork, the recording, and the mixing, and you know, we always took it somewhere to get it mastered, um, to make it sound, you know, huge.
Fresh ear.
Um, yeah, but there was something to be said about that, knowing that we did it all from start to finish, like 100% ourselves. I mean, that's like that. I think about that too, you know. I think about that too because there's a lot of people out there that can write music and, you know, but they don't know how to record it, you know, and they go to studios still, or they, you know, or somebody comes to them, and that's totally fine, you know. I guess whatever works for anybody. But I've kind of been lucky along the way and getting a chance to know, you know, the ins and outs of equipment and recording software and stuff like that, and having people let me work on their stuff. You know, but you know, I mean, honestly, though, I work hard at it, you know, and I always am working hard at it, and so you know, getting a chance to produce music, you know, for film and TV stuff is really satisfying to me, you know, and it's liberating in a way because I'm not doing it with the entire band, you know, it's just me working on it,
Right.
you know, with the client or the director or whoever, you know, just sending me notes. But I don't know, I guess in a roundabout way to your question, I just feel really blessed and lucky to have been able to do some of this stuff, you know.
So, do you like the sound of having like your compressor its own unit, and you're just go on and on and on as their own units, or do you like the sound of using all of those effects just in the program?
That's a good question too, because you know, back in the day, there was just so much outboard gear, you know, and going to a place, you know, when like Smart Studios in Madison, I mean, they had Butch Vig as like the top of everything, you know, and a lot of that analog gear is just incredible, you know. But the way they emulate gear nowadays, I mean, it's kind of freaky. Some of it's really close. Some of it's really close. Um, I do like, you know, a lot of, you know, having the chance to use outboard gear and compressors and stuff that aren't in the box, but um, a lot of that depends on space, you know, and you know, I don't want to say what's the use of having it when you have it in the box, because I think there are nuances and stuff in analog gear that you can't get in digital stuff. But like I said, it's pretty close.
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually low key think that when I listen to a lot of old recordings, and then I listen to stuff that I'll do here in my crib, it's wild that they had all this kind of equipment and they spent probably hundreds of thousands of dollars on their studio, but yet
Hmm.
my track here will sound the sound is more isolated. It's way more crispier and cleaner. It's like I almost kind of feel bad for all of music up until now, as far as having the ability to have the technology that just isolates that sound. Now, that
Yeah.
there is that sound, like you said, make that big sound that that you can't really emulate, out of the the softwares, but
Hmm.
yeah, like you said, a lot of it is like obsolete. It's like you said, a lot of
Yeah.
gear laying around. Like I don't need that anymore.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I have racks of stuff down in my other studio downstairs, but you know, I that studio basically mimics what I have here, but with all the outboard gear, Um, so I could take a project from down there and then come up here and mix it or whatever, I mean, but I remember seeing a, a poster um, not too long ago. It was a big poster, and at the top, it had this giant like $1 million studio, and then underneath it, it had like um, engineers and people around the board mixing it, and then under that, it had a turntable, like a record, and then under that, it had like a cassette tape and a dude listening, to a cassette tape, and it kept going down and down and down till you got to the very bottom. It was a pair of earbuds.
Yeah.
So it's like that $1 million studio nowadays. Now it comes all down to like two little earbuds, dude. MP3s, you know.
Yeah.
It's almost like you don't need that stuff anymore. I guess that's kind of what maybe they were alluding to, how much the technology has evolved and changed, that a lot of those studios aren't always what they used to be.
Hell yeah.
There's still, of course, and there's engineers that are top of their game, of course. Those are the dudes that you want, but are they feasible, for younger musicians? Probably not. Unsigned musicians? Probably not. Yeah. That was just something I saw a while ago. It was pretty funny. Technology has totally changed.
Let's get back onto your original instrument, the guitar. What is your favorite guitar to play?
My favorite guitar, um, I've had this Guild acoustic, or not acoustic, this Guild electric, for years, and it's this weird shape. Um, and I had bought it at a place called Casio Music way back in the day, and I didn't really know what I was looking for. I just knew that it looked cool, and it has EMG pickups in it, 85s, and the neck, all rosewood. It played really really nice, and um, it just feels really good every time I put it on. It's like perfectly balanced, and the action on the neck is like perfect. It's got this Kaler tremolo system on it, so like you can take a whammy bar and take it down to the body and hold it there and bring it back up, and it's still like 100% in tune. you know. But when I bought it, it was used, of course, and I remember the guy at the store said, "Oh, this guy from a band called Alligator Gun brought it in here," and I remember the band. I remember them, and they were like signed band, and I was like, "Holy shit, man! A signed band! They had this guitar. I want this guitar now. I really want it." And I bought it. It was like $300 something. Um, I've had it forever. I mean, I don't know. I've had it for over 30 years, and always got questions about it. Like, wow, that's a weird guitar. Guild makes a guitar like that, and always asked me, where it came from and all kinds of questions. And I never really knew. I don't know where it came from, except that it was on the rack when I bought it. And I don't know, years and years and years later, um, my band Spiral Trance was playing with another local regional band called Black Belt Theater, and a really good band, really really good band, good songwriters and musicians, pretty intense. And the singer, guitar player from that band, after we were done playing, came up to me. He's like, man, dude, I used to have a guitar that was just like that, man. It had this pickup switch on here, and it had this over here, and it was marked up over, hey, hey, man, I think that's my guitar. And it was.
Wow.
It was his guitar. And all these years, dude, I've had that guitar and not knowing where it came from, and just so randomly after all those years playing a show with this band, and it happens to be that singer's guitar. So
You still got it?
I, oh yeah, hell yeah, I got it. Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember that night I took it off and gave it to him, and he played it, and he's like, man, this still feels good, and took some pictures with it. And I've had this thing in me every time I see him, like, maybe I should give him back that guitar.
You should do some research on that guitar first.
Yeah, they're not like I don't see them like ever, So
That could be a thing.
yeah,
Does it
maybe,
sound like, and does it not sound like any other guitar? Like, does it have like a really unique sound and feel? And
it's just a weird body shape, but it's got like this metal headstock on it. And it's got like metal, components to it, like Guild makes like really awesome acoustic guitars, So the fact that they put out this guitar, with EMGs in it and the Kaler tremolo system, and I mean, I just had to have it, So when I plugged it in the first time, I'm like, man, this is my fucking guitar, dude.
right, I'm actually electric guitars from Guild. Those
I have
those
it
are those
here.
are some quality guitars.
Yeah, dude.
I
Let's
didn't,
see.
like for a name that you really wouldn't think.
Let's see it here, dude.
Oh, that is
It's got this headstock on it, this metal headstock, dude. Almost looks like a
right. It looks
Jackson,
real Jackson-y.
you know, but it's this weird fucking shape, man.
I'm not even seeing anything in their stuff that's shaped like that. It's all
Yes,
shaped like Les Pauls, Gibsons, Gretches, and stuff. That's
yeah.
probably like, I don't know. I'd look up that serial number, man.
I think it says number one. I'm kidding.
Right. One of three.
I did put this sticker on the back though, that I love this guitar, man. I do love it, and I've often thought about giving it back to him. Um, you know, it was his, and we talk about it to this day. And I know that he misses it. Yeah, yeah, I know he misses it, but there's just something about it. It just feels fucking great every time I put it on and play it.
What is your favorite style to play? I know Imperial Fall does does that metal. A lot of energy. It's really awesome. Like really good shows and, really jams. But what is Paul Carr's favorite to play? At home alone, thinking no one's watching but that fly.
That one.
Right.
um, that's a good question, man. I grew up listening to metal, like big time thrash metal. If it didn't have double bass in it, it was like, fuck that shit. I'm not gonna listen to that, man. That's lame. Um, but then I remember working at a record store, and there was so much fucking music in there. I was just turned on to all this stuff. It was crazy. So I knew that there was life beyond Slayer and Metallica and Ozzy. I mean, those are bands that I listened to big time. Back in the day, growing up, and which is probably why like not a lot of girls came to our parties because that's all we would crank.
It's too heavy.
It's just, we don't want to listen to that.
Right, because they're like, oh, I love heavy metal. Metallica is awesome. Like,
Yeah, your Metallica shirt on, your patches and shit. No, I listened to back then. I listened to thrash a lot, and I think that's kind of what I learned how to play to begin with. Um, so today it's not so much thrash, I guess. Well, like when I listen back to Spiral Trance stuff, how much that band evolved, it was this kind of a weird band. It was like it was rock for sure, but it had these little tiny elements of like progressiveness in it. Where the songwriting and the structures were a little more intricate or interesting. We weren't just strumming chords and stuff. Um, so, but nowadays, I think that's a really good question there. I'm just always trying to write songs, not so much riffs. Like back in the day, I was like writing riffs. And now I'm just trying to write songs. So it's not always about playing like a million miles an hour. But because you're right, Imperial Fall's definitely not like that. It's like really down tuned um, groove kind of sound to it. We call it ghetto metal.
I love it. I love it. Well, hey, you can call it that when you came out with that bounce motherfucker bounce
Right.
thing. That you so yes, you could definitely say that that's that ghetto metal.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I don't know. When I'm at home, man, I actually play like acoustic stuff a lot. I just, and sometimes if I'm playing heavy shit, I just turn on the drum track, and just jam along to it, whether it's strumming or like, back in the day, it was all about like finger tapping and playing really fast and shit. Um, every once in a while, I'll play some shit like that.
so being with these bands being so heavy that you can't even read their names. Uh,
Yeah.
the cracks in the leather couch, the piles of sticks. Um, being that they're already now so heavy that it's just nothing but 16ths all the way through, 30 seconds all the way through. Um, where do you see metal can evolve from where it's at?
I don't know, man. Like when we were growing up, you were either playing, you know, acoustic rock or you were playing glam rock or heavy metal. Like heavy metal could be considered at the time like White Snake, White Lion, which I kind of think are like glam rock bands, in a way. Incredible musicians. I mean, those bands, I mean, people always gave those bands a hard time, like on the Sunset Strip. But those bands, I mean, they could fucking play their instruments like very impressive. But it wasn't stuff that I really listened to. So I think the the genres were a little more defined then. Heavy metal was like Slayer and Metallica, and even though it's like thrash metal, that's like the heaviest that you're gonna get. And Ozzy, but then like I said, you had the other bands doing the hard rock metal thing. They were just, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that today there's so many genres. It's hard to keep hard to keep straight. Bands are like post-hardcore, bands are new metal, bands are gent, bands are math metal, bands are, you know,
Math metal? The
yeah,
fuck is math metal?
it's too hard for me to play.
It's like the sheet music is just equations.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's not even a staff, it's just equations.
Yeah. Hey, you got bands out there like Meshuggah and Periphery. Some of these bands that are just so intense, like they're playing these insane time signatures and these rhythms and things that are very intricate. And I guess that's kind of where they get that name, like math metal, because it's just not your typical 4 4 4 4. Um, but really really good stuff.
Where would you like to see it evolve to from there? Because, I mean, it's already as fast as it can go, it's already as heavy as it can go. I mean, and you got some intricate people out there, but there's some that use it, some that don't. There's also the bands that, they can really sing, but they growl just because. So it's like, there's a lot of the different genres, but being that it's already as fast as it can go and heavy as it can go, where do you see metal taking a major turn from here? Because there has to be a major change because everyone sounds the same. Everyone's sounding the same. When you get actually like deep into the heavy metal, like it's starting to get. So what do you see would be a good change in heavy metal to really start redefining the genre?
I think, to me at least, I think some of it is so predictable in the way, like the mix sounds, all the way down to the mix. All the drums sound the same. Everybody has the same guitar tones. You know, there's a clean singer and there's a metal growler singer. I think some of that is a little predictable, and I think it can get kind of silly at times. And I guess I wish that, even though those bands are incredible at what they do, I guess I wish that bands in a way stopped caring so much and just started fucking playing and not trying to be, perfect, in terms of like, well, we played 4 4 in this section, now we got to play, 5 8, and then okay, now we got to switch back to, I don't know, 3 2 or whatever the fuck. And you're playing in the key of Q.
Flat.
Yeah. I think just bands shouldn't think so hard. Just play from the heart. Think about the music that got you started, and what got you interested, and like lose all that shit. Strip it back, just strip it back. Lose all that production, and I mean it's important to play on time. Don't get me wrong. You have to play on time. You have to be tight, you have to be tight. But I think it's okay to uh, not be perfect, because it starts to sound real sterile, and like there's not a lot of feeling or emotion in it. It's more about the production. It's more about what's going on in the scene at the time. And some of that can get kind of silly too. I wish there was just. I hope to see more bands that are just stripping it down and keeping it kind of raw. It's kind of like how we like to, interpret Imperial Fall. We're not trying to write some fucking classical record. We're not we're not at the same time like reinventing the wheel either. But we're just kind of keeping it raw. It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, if it can be. You can play some acoustic riffs and still be just as brutal as some band that's like playing a million miles an hour, because you're playing from the heart. You've totally stripped it back, and that's where I kind of want to see music go again.
Yeah, stripping back to the basics, getting back to roots, keeping it simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, people will laugh at those older bands, like you said, like, well, you're not metal. You guys remember where the term heavy metal came from?
Right.
Born to Be Wild over here was considered heavy metal for its time. So, I mean, just, so.
I think a lot of times nowadays bands rely on technology more than their own instruments to write a song. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if that's what gets you jazzed, but I I think it's not always necessary, and I think it's okay to feel kind of exposed without all that other shit going on. You know, I'd like to hear some of those songs without any of that going on. I'd like to hear what they sound like with just guitars and vocals, drums. I mean, I seen a band the other couple of years ago at Summerfest that on the side stage they had to cancel their performance because their laptops went down.
Wow.
I mean, what the fuck is that, dude? Can't you just can't you still like fucking play?
Right. Yeah, there won't be any sound effects, but you can count to four, right? In between there, right?
Yeah, right. I'm not taking away from what it is that they're trying to do, but I think it's just it doesn't have to go that far.
Right.
It just doesn't. And stop trying to invent new styles. We've got like 2,000 of them now.
What was the first concert you went to?
My first concert ever um, was Deicide. I'm kidding. It was not. Oh.
5 years old.
Yeah, right. Upside down crosses on stage and shit. No, my first concert ever was seeing David Lee Roth at Alpine Valley on his Skyscraper tour, I think it was, and he had Steve Vai in the band, and I think Billy Sheehan might have been in that band at the time, and being at Alpine Valley, it was like walking in there, it was like, fuck, dude, where are we? I didn't know this was back here. you know? Yeah, I just remember walking in from the parking lot and going in there. It was like, holy fuck, dude, and then hearing them play for the first time. It was very, very memorable. I was blown away. I was really blown away. But
I didn't know that they were all in a band together. Like I know David Lee Roth had his own thing, after Halen, but I didn't know that it also had Steve Vai and Billy Sheehan. Like,
yeah,
fuck.
I had some major players. I think Billy Sheehan was in that band. I can't remember for sure. But I know that he had Steve Vai in the band for a while. I mean, dude went from like one insane guitar player to like a whole nother insane guitar player, you know. As a matter of fact, I think White Lion opened up for them.
Man.
Something like that. It was either that or that band, um, that all girl band back then. They were
Oh, there
called
was No Doubt. Farouk Assault.
way before that.
ABBA. No.
Yeah, it was like a metal band. It was these girls. It was all girls, and they were pretty hot. I remember. God, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't fucking remember. Um, it'll come to me, but I think they were on the band. Oh, Vixen,
Oh, okay.
Vixen, yeah. I think they played too. Uh, yeah, what a trip,
How
man.
old were you?
Boy, I think I was like 16, maybe. I think I was about 16. And, it well after that, after seeing other concerts and stuff, that when I kind of got into the music scene, um, I was like totally blown away because I was like, wow, I don't have to pay, $30 to see Metallica at this huge fucking venue. I can walk into this little tiny place and see a band just totally ripping it on stage, for like $2, you know. And I didn't realize, that was like the local scene, that there were a million bands like this, and there was a ton of clubs that were doing the same thing. I was like, blown away, and to become part of that scene after so many years, I feel really honored to share the stage with so many of those bands that I went and saw back then, um, and the people that I got to know over the years. I mean, um, some of those guys laugh, and girls laugh. Like I said, I get a little sentimental sometimes, but
You get fangirl on them.
I get all misty. No,
I can't picture you being that way. Like your like your vibe says you can get that way, but your look doesn't say you can get that way.
I guess it's just, it. Those are some of the bands like way back then when I was learning about this stuff that were on stage, in this little club, and they were just totally crushing it. And I was like, man, I want to do that. And I guess so. Getting to know them over time, and now some of them are my friends. It really makes me nostalgic. And makes me feel really, really, really lucky to have gotten a chance to be a part of this scene, and to share the stage with some of those people that inspired me like way back then.
Go ahead and give some
Like,
shout outs. Who are they?
oh man, let's see. There was a band way back in the day. They were called Miss Trixie. I remember them. And there were bands. There's a band called Bender, um, that got signed to record label TVT back in the '90s, and um, actually a couple of those guys are in the band Black Belt Theater now. All those guys in that band were in signed bands at one time or another. Um, Big Dumb Dick was a band. They were awesome, heavy. Uh, the Buzzhorn, the Buzzhorn, that was another big one. Um, it was just these bands, that were from my town, our hometown, of Milwaukee, that were getting signed to these major record labels. And, you know, now after all these years, getting a chance to share the stage with them or even share stories with them, it's still humbling to me, and a lot of times now those guys will say, shut the fuck up, dude. Nah, they don't say that. I think I think that they appreciate, the fact that I, cared so much about it, because I think all of those bands, and it goes for every band. I think they're very, very proud of what they do or what they have had done in the past, no matter what had happened, why those bands aren't together anymore. I know that they're proud of what they did, back then. So, you know, I have no problem reliving some of those memories with those guys. I really, really appreciate that.
And out of everything, when you were starting to go out into the, start going to big shows, local shows, where in there made you decide to play guitar?
Um, I guess maybe it just seemed like the most accessible instrument at the time. Like a lot of people were playing guitar. Some of my heroes were playing it. James Hetfield, Metallica. You know, Metallica was like a huge influence on me, like way back in the day. And I know that a lot of people don't like some of their new shit now, or whatever, but they're still like my favorite band of all time because they, made me want to play music, made me want to play guitar, you know. I remember listening to Kill 'Em All at a friend's house or listening to it on a record, in his parents' basement. And I think we smoked a couple bongs and just
Smoked a
listened to that
couple
record.
bongs. Now I know that either you're lying or you're just that old where you say a couple bongs. There is one bong and you take some hits off of the one bong. Unless y'all really just, have disposable bongs over there.
My friend had this fucking huge ass bong back in the day, man. It was huge, but that was then. This is now. And I can't party like that no more. But I remember listening to that record and just staring at the back cover. It was those four dudes, you know, playing this fucking heavy ass music, and it was baffling to me. Like sound is coming out of these four dudes, and
So Kill 'Em All is what did them for you, huh?
yeah, yeah, Kill 'Em All. I mean, I was listening to Ozzy all the time, and Sabbath and other stuff that was like in my brother's record collection, stuff with the scariest looking record covers, stuff he didn't listen to anymore. I listened to all that stuff, but when I heard that Metallica record, I was like, "This is it.
Yeah,
This is
I
it."
gotta agree with you on the early stuff there, cause Ride the Lightning had me wanting to kind of play,
Sure.
like just those riffs were just like, like
Yeah. Right.
how do I get
Right.
that? Like,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I know, man. I was just, I had my Metallica tablature books, learned to play by numbers. I still can't read music. I still don't know how to read music. I don't know how to read notes, nothing like that, But if you show me how to play something, I can pick it up, or play by ear, best as I can. But yeah, the first time I tried to play one, by Metallica, I was like playing it on the high notes, because I thought the sixth string was the, I was like, I had it backwards, man. I'm like, this doesn't sound like the record. But after I figured it out, and guitar just became a real part of me. I just kept playing. There's a lot of people back then, they tell you, you're never going to be able to learn that. You can't learn that, dude. You don't know how to read music. You don't know how to. There's no way, dude. And that made me just want to fucking learn it, even more. It was something that just popped into my head because I know your dad, from way back in the day.
yeah, what's the first
And
time you met him? Go ahead and put that on blast. Cause I never heard of first. I don't know what you're about to say.
well, I remember going to a record store, a music store called Uncle Bob's Music, and I mean, it was just fucking like tons of fucking guitars and amps, and they had new shit, and then they had the old, used stuff, and they had this giant bulletin board in the very front when you came in, and your dad had a band that was called Theatera, and their picture was like up on this fucking bulletin board right when you came in, And I was like, damn. I was like, that's fucking cool, man. Wow, I gotta meet those dudes, you know, wondering, because there was no computer shit back then. If you didn't know somebody that had the tape, you weren't gonna be able to listen to it, you know. And I just remember, seeing that 8x10 hanging up on that bulletin board, and I was just blown away, man. I was like, wow, that's like a real fucking band, you know, like they got their picture up, you know, totally pro, and that fucking name Theatira, that shit rules. That's a cool name. Yeah. And then years later, when I had my band Spiral Trance and we were forming, you know, I got a chance to my band got a chance to play with Theatira, you know, and I remember meeting your dad, and I was just kind of like, whoa, that's the dude in that picture. Just tripped me out, you know, and I remember watching your dad play. I remember watching the band play, and they were just fucking on fire, dude. You know, like they were, you know, we were here, but they were like, "Hey, the fuck!" And I'm like, "We don't know what we're doing. We need to go practice." You know, they're so good. Your dad too, man. That dude can fucking play, man. He's so good. And so yeah, I mean, that was another band that just really inspired me. You know, they were so good, and yeah, that was like the first time I met your dad was, you know, playing a show, you know.
You going, wow, you're so good. And he goes, fuck you.
Get off my stage, dude.
It's like,
No,
I'm
your
not
dad
good. What are you talking about?
your dad was really cool to me back then. He still is cool. You know, still very blessed to have him in my life and still know him, you know, and be able to share these old stories together. Even though we don't see each other as often, um, we're still able to pick up like right where we left off, you know. I think that's a really good sign of a beautiful, meaningful friendship, you know. So yeah, there's my story for you.
that's that's actually a really good story to hear. So, what you guys got coming up? New albums or anything?
Yeah, Imperial Falls working on new music right now. We have like a song that has not been released yet that we're gonna do like a radio campaign and stuff for it this year. So we're looking forward to that, and you know, just always writing new music. And I'd like to put out a new album this year. We've got so many ideas. It's just hard to, you know, rein them all in, you know, and figure out what's going to stay and what's not going to stay, you know. So um, it's going to be a busy year for us, I think. Show wise, we don't really have anything on the books yet, just because we've been, you know, focusing on, you know, writing some of this new music. And at the same time, we did part ways with our drummer last year. So, you know, we've been working with our friend Andy Lomax, who plays in a band called Six Pack Sammy. He plays in another band called Hot Rod Huey, and he's another dude that I've known since when my band first started. He had a band called Victims of Voodoo way back in the day with people that you probably know, like
Tyler, Remo.
Remo, and yeah, all them dudes. And Andy is just a fucking he's just a maniac monster on drums, you know. He thrashes every kit that he plays on, you know. But he's been very kind and able to fill in on some of these shows that we've had, stuff that we didn't want to pass up. You know, some national gigs that we've had a chance to open up for him. So he may be working with us just a little bit, you know, just not anything permanent, but just kind of helping us get some of these ideas together, that type of thing. But we are looking to audition, you know, permanent drummer, hopefully soon this year. You know, a couple dudes, you know, but we're just kind of trying to figure that out. And as for me, I'm working on some of my own music. Some of this stuff, it's like way different than Imperial Fall stuff. It's more like I put out a song a few years ago. It was well, let's see, it's 2024. I put it out in 2021. It's a song called Home. Really like piano based, but with hard rock guitars in it. Kind of, I don't want to use the word power ballad because it's not, but um, some of that, I got really a lot of success from that record or from that single. Um, I did a radio campaign for it, and it uh, hit radio stations all across all 50 states and got some syndicated radio play on some radio shows, and it had international reviews, which was really cool. And that stuff was, really inspiring because I did it, on my own. As much as I love my band, as much as I love Imperial Fall, and I love my bandmates to death, um, doing something like that was a little liberating, because you're just doing it, by yourself. And so there's been a little push to do some of that type of music again. So I've got a couple songs that I want to get out this year that are similar to that. So that's kind of what's on the horizon, and then a few um, uh, scoring projects for. There's a documentary that's in the works, and I was asked to maybe put some music together for that. Um, I'd love to focus on more of that stuff too. So we'll see, man. I feel, like I said, man, I feel really, really, really lucky and blessed to have some of these opportunities, to do, and and to be able to play with so many great musicians. And well, you were at that show this past weekend, and um, to do big shows like that for such a good cause like Guitars for Vets, and to be able to do it with so many friends and so many incredible musicians. I mean, the list is massive, to be included in it is wild to me, but I'm very thankful that people have asked me to do projects like that.
Awesome. Where can people
Yeah.
find Imperial Fall stuff and your personal stuff?
I don't have much of the personal stuff out there yet. Actually, well, I take that back. I do have my own website for that stuff. It's called, my company's called Northern Score, and you can find it at northern-score.com. That's like all my composing stuff, and a lot of the projects and stuff that I've worked on are on that site. Um, and as far as Imperial Fall goes, we're on a lot of the typical digital platforms like Apple Music, Amazon, um, just everywhere, pretty much. Yeah. My God, so much of that stuff's eluding me right now because there's so much of it.
I just use DistroKid so it goes everywhere but like SoundCloud.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, stuff like that. SoundCloud, DistroKid, CD Baby, Broad Jam, Reverb Nation. Just there's so many now, dude. It's insane.
Right.
But you type Imperial Fall in, you'll find us. Apple Music, probably iTunes.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
shit. That has been an awesome time. We are out of it for this episode. So until next time, uh, don't do anything I wouldn't do. And if you do, name it after me.